Hello Pisces, my name is Keith Haswell. I'm a professional astrologer with over 40 years experience in the business and over 30,000 clients worldwide. It's my pleasure to welcome you Pisces to this analysis of your horoscope from a spiritual perspective for the year 2014. Now, based on your time of birth, we have what's called an ascendant. And the ascendant is the sign on the eastern horizon at the time of your first breath. And that becomes the cusp of your first house. Now you then have the next sign on the cusp of your second house, and the following sign to that on the cusp of your third house, and then the fourth house, fifth house, and so forth, all the way through the 12 houses of your horoscope. Now these houses of your horoscope are unique to your sign. So the impacts of these events and conditions in your life through these houses are going to be different than somebody who has a different sign than you. If you're not sure of your time of birth, then we use the sun as the cusp of the first house, and it's equally as accurate. Now these 12 signs of the zodiac embody energies, ray energies. And those ray energies are unique to you and your sign for all of the events and conditions that you experience through the 12 houses of your horoscope. The 12 houses of your horoscope are arenas of consciousness where you are living life to experience things in the form of events and conditions in your life. Now, looking at it from a spiritual perspective, these houses are avenues and arenas for the fulfillment of needs and for the expression of your consciousness. So each of the 12 houses has a different set of needs from the other house, and those will be impacted by the sign on the cusp of those houses. Now, for example, the first house is your self-initiated efforts, and you are living in a spiritual classroom, and you are out to experience things in life through these 12 houses and the events associated with each of those houses. Now, I'm not going to go into a great deal of detail in this reading about the type of events that are associated with each of the houses. I'll get to that a little bit later when I talk about things from the perspective of your individual horoscope. But to give you an understanding of what you are experiencing in terms of spiritual growth through these 12 houses, the first house is your fulfilling your needs for having impact in life and for commencing and starting new projects and ideas. Your personal power is connected with that first house. The second house is for the fulfillment of your security needs. Not only financial security, but physical security, emotional security, mental security, and spiritual security. The third house of your horoscope is fulfilling your communication needs, and those communications are with those close to you, like relatives and neighbours. The fourth house is fulfilling your belonging needs. You all have a number of needs in life that are being fulfilled in this spiritual classroom. And so belonging to a family unit, for example, or an established household with those who cohabitate with you in the home is very, very important for you to have a sense of belonging. The fifth house fulfills your need to love and to have fun, and entertainment and amusements fit into that. Children fit into that, so you can express your love. Romance fits into that, so you can express your love. So the need to have fun and to express your love is vitally important and part of your needs. The 6th house is fulfilling your service needs, and that is generally through meaningful work. Meaningful work is a vital part of good health for you. Through the 7th house, we fulfill our needs to be known, to have a partner in life, and to know somebody and be intimate with them and to be known in return. The 8th house fulfills your need for change, and we do that through introspection and reflection. The 9th house fulfills your needs for adventure and for expansion, and we do that through adult education and through travel and through philosophy and religious pursuits. The 10th house fulfills your esteeming needs and the need to be able to climb to the heights of success in a chosen field, in a career or in business, and to be well thought of in the community. The 11th house is fulfilling the needs to have friendships and to belong to a group. So friends and group activities and club activities fit into that arena. And the 12th house is the need for solitude and for reaching through that solitude and the mystery of solitude to your higher self, the divine, the spiritual part of yourself. Many times in life we do that through crisis, through hospitalization and internment and so forth, isolation and crisis and hardship in our life, just to force ourselves to have that solitude and that introspective aspect of our nature towards the spiritual side of our life. What I'm going to do for you now is I'm going to tell you about the way that your unique energies on the cusp of each of those 12 houses are fulfilling those needs, and looking at the type of conditions and events, but more importantly, the qualities, principles and values that you are inculcating into yourself as your character through those unique events and conditions that come from those energies on the cusp of your houses. Now, throughout this year of 2014, you've also got the movements of planets going through those houses. You've got Jupiter, which is a major beneficial influence, and I'll be interpreting what that means because you have got Jupiter in a different house in your horoscope during 2014 than what someone with a different sign has. And then there's Saturn. I'll be looking at Saturn for you and telling you what impact that Saturn has in the particular house that it sits in during 2014. And then I'll look at Uranus for you. So you just sit back and relax now and enjoy the journey with me. What I'm going to do for you now, Pisces, is I'm going to go through the 12 houses of your horoscope and tell you the sign that's on the cusp of each of those houses, the impact that that sign on that cusp has in your life. But also, as we proceed, there will perhaps be certain planetary placements in those houses throughout 2014. And so I'll tell you when there's a planet, a major planet, either Jupiter, Saturn or Uranus, is placed in one of your houses. I'll handle that as we proceed through the presentation. And I'll also look at the movements of the planets, because when the planets are in retrograde, either of these three planets, Jupiter, Saturn or Uranus, when those planets are in retrograde, in other words, when they're in an apparent backward motion, it means that the houses that they rule by sign will be impacted by a negative impact upon the type of things that you're trying to achieve through that particular house. So you just sit back and relax now, Pisces, and we'll look at what's going on. Now, for a start, you've got Pisces on the cusp of your first house. That's what makes you a Pisces. If you weren't sure of your time of birth, then we use the Sun as the cusp of the first house, and that's equally as accurate. So you've either got the Sun in Pisces or you've got the Ascendant in Pisces. Now, the first house is your desire to have impact and your self-initiated efforts, and so you're out to commence and start projects and ideas in the year of 2014, utilising the energies of Pisces to be able to do so. And Pisces is the energies of the second ray of love wisdom. So you naturally will always be looking out for the other person. You'll always be looking out for the spiritual aspects of your personal initiatives and interests. You can be your own worst enemy, Pisces, in getting things started, because you can have a leaning toward drugs and alcohol, and you'll find that there's a lot of insecurities and secret worries with regard to getting things started. But you have a very vivid imagination and you have a highly developed intuition, so you can intuit things about what you should do and how you should progress. But you've got to be careful for laziness in getting your project started, and you've got to make sure that you plan them out very carefully. Now, you don't have any of those 3 planets placed in your house by transit throughout 2014, but you do have Jupiter, which is the ruler of Pisces, is retrograde, and it's retrograde for a period of time, and that is from the 1st of January to the 7th of March. So what you'll find, Pisces, is that from the 1st of January to the 7th of March, you'll find that your self-initiated efforts are not quite going to go the way that you want them to. You're going to have to work that much harder to focus upon the task at hand and to get the job done. And so you're going to have to rely on planning ability and your own leadership qualities and the courage. Courage is the willingness to act, even though you don't have all the answers, and even though some of the answers that you do have are wrong. It's okay to be wrong. It's okay to be human. We all make mistakes, and so you'll no doubt make some mistakes in these first couple of months of 2014. Then Jupiter goes retrograde again on the 9th of December, onwards then for the balance of the year and into 2015 for a period of time. So therefore you're going to find that things are going to start going awry again in regard to your personal initiatives as you're approaching Christmas and so forth. So your emotions will be scattered during that time, and your planning ability will be in jeopardy. Now, the second house is the house of your security and the desire to have security, financial security, but physical security, emotional security, mental security, and spiritual security. So you have got Aries on the cusp of that house. And Aries is a tremendous amount of energy and enthusiasm to be able to get things going as far as your money is concerned and your sense of security. But you can be rather impulsive, especially early in life. You can be rather impulsive with money. You can end up with a scar on the lower part of the face or the neck from those impulsive sort of Arian energies that are there to do with the second house of your horoscope. Aries is Mars ruled, so you'll perhaps have a lot of stress and tension focusing through your finances and focusing through your sense of security. Now you have Uranus in transit, is stationary in your second house for the whole of 2014. And when Uranus is in the second house of finances, you've got tremendous opportunity. You're actually being called upon for innovation and new ideas. And so you will experience perhaps a few upheavals and a few crises in regard to your finances and your sense of security generally. But that will be specifically to force you into making changes within yourself with regard to your planning ability and budgeting wisely and so forth. So again, 2014 is a potential time of crisis for you financially, but if you innovate and you plan things out very carefully and bring those plans down from the mental plane into the emotional plane, give them desire, and you can manifest them in the physical reality as events and conditions relating to your sense of security. Now the third house, Pisces, you've got Taurus on the cusp of it. Taurus is Venus ruled, and this is the house of communication. So with Taurus ruled communication, you'll be very loving and outgoing in 2014 with your affections for relatives and neighbours, and you'll just be desiring to communicate in a loving way. So you love the things of the earth, you like your nice car, you like listening to music in the car and so forth. There'll be quite a lot of social activities in your life in 2014 revolving around relatives and neighbours. And there's no major impacts from any of these major planets in your third house. The fourth house, Pisces, is your desire to belong. With Gemini being on the cusp of your fourth house, there's a tremendous amount of love. There's a lot of love wisdom comes into the fourth house of the home and the family and the domestic side of life. So you like to have an expression of love, and you like to have social activities around the home, and you also like to curl up with a good book in the home. And that's when you're fulfilling your desire for wisdom. Knowledge applied equals wisdom. So you must apply the knowledge, and you can certainly get that knowledge from my intensives during 2014 and make the most of that opportunity to become more of who you really are. There'll be many changes of residence in life for you. You could even have two places to live in at the one time. And with Gemini on the cusp of the fourth house, there could possibly be a twin in your family or extended family. Now the fifth house, Pisces, is your desire to have fun and to express your love. And you have got a beautiful impact upon your fifth house, Pisces, by the very fact that you've got Jupiter, your ruler. The embodiment of the second ray of love wisdom is stationary there in your horoscope, in the fifth house for the whole of the year of 2014. So that means it's a very good year for you to do with romance and love and the social side of life. It's very good for you for speculation and gambling during 2014. It's very, very favourable for children. It can see you travelling overseas to do with a holiday. Could see children travelling. And very, very good stars for you to do with love and relationships if you're in the market for new relationships. So a very good year for you, Pisces, in terms of the expression of love and the having of fun and a lot of group activities and restaurants and places of amusement and things like that to have the fun. The sixth house, Pisces, is your house where you are fulfilling your service needs, and that's through the job mainly. Okay, now you don't have any planets in that particular location of your horoscope during the year, so you're focusing upon the energies that are there on that cusp, and you've got Leo on the cusp of your sixth house. So Leo is a sign of leadership, ruled by the sun, and the lion is the symbol of Leo. And so with that leadership qualities, you've got the capacity to not only rise to leadership in the job, but you've also got the capacity to take control over your diet and exercise routine. Remember that health comes through right diet and plenty of exercise, and you've got the ability to and the willingness to act in that regard, to look after your body. You don't like many changes of residence. You don't like many changes in your job, because Leo is a fixed sign. Now the seventh house, Pisces, is the house of your fulfilling your needs to have a mate and to know that mate and to be known in return. The desire to know a person is very, very powerful need that we need to fulfill. You've got Virgo on the cusp of your 7th house. There's no planets in transit moving through that particular house, the major planets that I'm talking about there. And so therefore you'll be relying on the energies of Virgo, which are the energies of love wisdom. So you are working through relationships to know yourself and to express your love and to gain knowledge through that partner and in concert with that partner, and to turn that knowledge into wisdom. You can end up getting into a relationship of marriage or partnership with somebody that you work with, or with somebody that you meet through the job, or with somebody of a lower class than yourself, on the social scale, what you might say, with Virgo on the cusp there of the 7th house. And there can be many changes too in relationships, because Virgo is a mutable sign, a changeable sign. The 8th house, Pisces, is where you are fulfilling your needs for change, and you do that through introspection and reflection within yourself, bringing about change, letting go of those habit patterns of behaviour that you feel that you've outgrown, deaths of aspects of yourself that you feel as if you've outgrown and you want to get rid of. So it's the house of death, but it's also the house of the death of aspects of ourselves that we feel as if we've outgrown. So change and the inner transformation, and you bring about this change through all the time working towards a balance within yourself. You're all the time wanting to find harmony within yourself, with Libra on the cusp there of your 8th house. And you do this quite often through your relationship of marriage or partnership. And you're all the time trying to seek that balance there within that relationship, and it can bring in joint finances and so forth too, being the 8th house. So you're all the time trying to strike a balance. You've got a tremendous amount of willpower and determination to control and direct things as far as joint finances are concerned. Now the 9th house, Pisces, is where you fulfill your needs for expansion and to become more of who you really are. And you do this through study, research, investigation, and through travel overseas perhaps. And you have the sign Scorpio on the cusp there of that 9th house. And that will mean that you can perhaps have a tremendous amount of introspective aspects of your nature to do with philosophy and spirituality, and you've got a tremendous urge to expand your understanding about the nature of reality and your place in that reality. You'll find that you are working to expand yourself to new horizons through a sense of conflict inside of yourself. So through a sense of inner conflict inside of yourself, you resolve that conflict, and that then frees you to be able to go and expand and become more of who you really are through study, research and investigation, through adult education and so forth. Now you've got a very interesting thing, Pisces, in the whole of the year in the 9th house. You've got Saturn stationary there in that 9th house for the whole of the year in transit. Now Saturn embodies the law of economy, and Saturn is striving for you to be very practical and down to earth with regard to any travel plans, and to be practical and down to earth when it comes to adult education and expanding your horizons and expanding your understanding. Remember, the 9th house is the needs for expansion. And so therefore, with Saturn sitting in there, it's saying to you that if you don't use the law of economy wisely in terms of the utilization of energy and time and money, then you're going to have a lot of problems and frustrations with regard to any travel plans. There can be a lot of unhappiness focusing through in-laws. There can be difficulties and problems in your life with regard to the lack of opportunity to expand your understanding if you're not practical and down to earth. It can be sickness or death of a relative, an in-law, or a relative who lives distantly from you sometime in 2014, with Saturn stationary there in the 9th house, Pisces. Now the 10th house, Pisces, is your house of high achievements and seeking recognition in the community. Your aspirations to become more of who you really are, and so it caters to career and business and to be well thought of in the community. And you've got the expansive sign of Sagittarius on the cusp of your 10th house. So there's a tremendous sense of duality in regard to your career or business. You could have two things going at the one time. You could have involvements with importing and exporting, overseas travel generally, education and expansive things. Also potential for sporting activities there, tied in with the business and the career side of things. But one thing you can lack, Pisces, is the persistence and the determination, because Sagittarius is a mutable sign and there's a lot of changes there potentially within your area of career and business. So you've got to make sure that you are practical and down to earth and not subject to flitting from one thing to another and not following through on a project to a successful conclusion. Also, Jupiter is the ruler of Sagittarius, and Jupiter in transit throughout the year of 2014 is in a retrograde motion from the 1st of January right the way through to the 7th of March. So you're going to find that these early months in 2014 are going to bring a little bit of insecurity for you as far as your career and your ambitions are concerned. So you might find that you are your own worst enemy during this time, and you can do things that are not in your own best interests. Then on the 7th of March, Jupiter goes direct again, and so things should go smoothly there for the balance of the year, with the exception of the 7th of December. Jupiter starts going retrograde again. So you'll experience perhaps a few difficulties as you're approaching Christmas with regard to your business plans and your career plans and things like that. You might be a little bit off key, what you might say, and not quite following through on a project. The 11th house, Pisces, is where you are linking up with friends, and the group is important to you, fulfilling your group needs. And you've got Capricorn on the cusp there of the 11th house. Now that means that you are Saturn ruled as far as your friendships are concerned, so there's going to be a limited number of friends in your life. A lot of friendships perhaps can be formed through the career and the business side of things, and there's a sense of frustration with regard to group interests and group activities. You can feel as if somehow things are held back in terms of friendships and group interests in your life, unless you develop what Saturn is saying to you by being the ruler of your 11th house, and that is to be practical in terms of your choice of friendships and practical in any planning with regard to group activities, and then things can go well and you'll be following what Saturn is trying to say to you about the law of economy and using time and energy and money wisely. Now Saturn is one of the planets that we're analysing here with regard to the retrograde motion, and Saturn is retrograde from the 3rd of March to the 21st of July. So that means that during that time, from the 3rd of March to the 21st of July, Saturn is retrograde in the transit in the heavens. And so that's going to impact upon your 11th house, Pisces. So you'll find that during that time there can be things going astray with regard to friendships. Things can go backwards, what it might say, in terms of group interest and group activities. And the last one that we come to is the 12th house, Pisces. And you've got Aquarius on the cusp of your 12th house. Now Aquarius being there, and this is the house fulfilling your need for solitude and your need for rapport with the divine and spiritual growth and development within yourself through that solitude, and the wonder and the magic and the beauty of solitude and the mystery of solitude. With Aquarius on the cusp there, you are being called upon for innovation and new ideas, New Age philosophy, spiritual growth and development through New Age philosophy of astrology, meditation and reincarnation. So you've been brought to my website in order to be able to take your next step forward in the evolution of your consciousness. So it's incumbent upon you, Pisces, to get your horoscope done by me, if you haven't had it done already, and I'll be able to send you a whole bundle of goodies that will help you to become more of who you really are and to fulfill that mystery of solitude and the Aquarian energies that are there on the cusp of your 12th house. Now, Uranus is the ruler of your 12th house, Pisces, and it is in a retrograde or apparent backward motion from the 23rd of July to the 22nd of December. So that's an extended period of time that you can be your own worst enemy. You can experience crisis in your life, sudden unexpected things that throw you into chaos in your life. And so you've got to work that much harder, Pisces, during that particular time to be able to find balance and harmony within yourself and to get the most out of solitude. Don't let the solitude come through crisis. Let the solitude come through choice. So all in all, Pisces, you've got a good year coming, especially in the area of romance and love and your relationship with children and the sporting side of life and recreation and entertainments and amusements with Jupiter there in your 5th house for the whole of 2014. It promises to be a fun time for you and a very loving time, fulfilling your needs to be able to love and have intimacy and closeness in your life. Well, I thank you for your attentiveness there, and now that I've done that work for you and done that analysis for you, if you can see some correlation there in what the signs on the cusp of your houses has meant through 2014, and also what the movements of Saturn and Jupiter and Uranus has meant, if you can see some correlation there with what I've interpreted, it's incumbent upon you to follow up on this. And where do you go from here? Well, the natural way for you to go is to get into my intensives. Now, I'm happy to provide you with 12 CDs out of my first book, What Really Matters, which is a book on astrology, meditation and reincarnation, free of charge. The 12 CDs out of that book are with my voice, with beautiful, relaxing backing music. And I'm happy to help you to become more of the giant that you truly are. You have more power inside of yourself than you think. You have a tremendous amount of power, and you can turn the events and conditions of your life, if you're experiencing pain and hardship and struggle in your life in any way, then you can turn those events and conditions around, because all of those events and conditions are a reflection of your raw materials, your attitudes, your beliefs, your thoughts, your feelings, and the decisions and choices that those attitudes, beliefs and thoughts and feelings engender from within yourself. No one is doing it to you. Karma is never assigned, it's always chosen by ourselves. So it's time for you to become more of the giant that you truly are. We've all made mistakes, and it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to be human. So I look forward to working further with you through my intensives, and then there's all of my videos. Over 100 videos now have been done for you to be able to help you to understand more about the nature of reality and your place in that reality. And as you progress through my intensives, you can get your horoscope number 2 done by me, and you can get your horoscope number 3, which is an individual reading of your horoscope using my voice. But do subscribe to my videos, because I'll be bringing out more than 100 videos in 2014 alone. And through those videos, I'm helping you to become more of who you really are. So subscribe to my videos, submit your birth details to my website, and we'll be able to then send you a whole bunch of goodies to help you to become more of who you really are. So I thank you for your attentiveness here, and look forward to working further with you should you decide to take me up on that. Thank you.